Hey guys, this is Joe from the Home Studio Guru, and on this episode we're going to be talking about vocals and how I do process them in the mix. Let's see that. Okay, what I have here is a vocal that I recorded myself. It's a rap actually. So let's hear how it sounds right before the mix and after mixing.
Life's a maze, we're lost in grind. 80 BPM, slow beats and wine.
After mixing, this is how it will sound like with the effects and everything.
Life's a maze, we're lost in grind. 80 BPM, slow beats and wine. Concrete jungle, neon signs, chasing dreams.
So let's go through each part of the vocals and each part of the process and what did I do with it. First thing usually I do when I process any vocal, I go manually and I try to fix any problems like the breath, clicks or whatever. So I clean that with the dual gain structure in Studio One. Studio One have two gains. It has the main gain, which is this one, and it has another gain that you can switch on. It's called gain envelope, where I use that to remove the breath, the breath between words. And, there are clicks and stuff. And the nice part, this is not, it doesn't cut the vocals totally. I think it cut about 15 dB. So you always hear breath, even if you cut it on the maximum. So notice all the areas are already clean. So I do that usually at the first day, and then the second day I do the processing. So I do tuning. I do also editing, where I go through the click. I start the click and I make sure all the vocals are on time with the beat. And this is usually tuning the vocals and fitting the grid exactly on the timing, because sometimes you do mistakes while you're rapping, or any singer do that. So I do that the first day before coloring and stuff with the track. And then the second day I start mixing. So after tuning and everything, now depends if you want to add auto-tune to your vocals or you just don't want it. In this case, I need it because I'm not a singer or a rapper. I'm just doing this for you guys. So I added a little bit rapping, and on the rapping I did some auto-tune. So this sounds before and after. Let's see.
We're lost in grind. 80 BPM, slow beats and wine. Concrete jungle, neon signs, chasing dreams, but the cost ain't kind.
So the main thing is not doing much, is just whatever, I go off a little bit and I put it choosy in here so it will be really fast, and I put the humanize on maximum. Next thing I do is usually I add a de-esser to my vocal or to any vocals, because before I process the vocal I want it to be de-essed. And then I add maybe another de-esser if I need to. Depends on the vocalist and how their performance was.
Beats and wine, concrete jungle, neon sign, chasing dreams, but the cost ain't kind. Life ain't easy, it's a bumpy ride.
Here I'm using the Lindell 902 de-esser. I really like this especially on rapping vocal, because it has something called air. So after you cut some frequency, you can add some air back to the vocals, so it doesn't shut it off totally. Okay, after that, I want to cut the biggest part of the vocal where you have, what is it called? Let me put it on. So notice the vocal has a huge transient. And because this is a rapping that I did, and I'm not a professional, so the vocals has a very, very high transient. So I put a compressor here. The job of this compressor is just to cut these transients, 3 dB all the way to 6 dB, but very fast, so you won't feel it. So if I put it on and off, you wouldn't feel anything, but it's cutting a lot. I'll show you now. Listen to this. That's before. That's after.
Life ain't easy, it's a bumpy ride. Swipe that plastic just to survive. From paycheck to paycheck we strive.
See, some words are really high, like this one, for instance.
Swipe that
swipe. It's cutting over 6 dB of this. So what I'm trying to do is cut the vocals to be like straight. So all these transients, very fast transient, very small. So put it on and off, you wouldn't feel any difference, but it will help the next compressor by not pushing it so hard. The next one I do is downward compression. So I want to increase the low part of the vocal up before I compress them from up, down. So up, down, up, down. So first I'm doing about 6.8 dB.
Swipe that plastic just to survive. From paycheck to paycheck we strive. In this modern struggle we thrive.
So what I'm doing, I'm increasing the low part of the vocal, pushing it up without touching the upper part of the vocal. I push it about 6 dB. So notice first I cut the highs, and then I'm bringing the one down up, and now I do normal compression third. So let's see what we've got next. Next, I'm using an LA2A.
Swipe that.
I'm using this one that UAD gave for free, and I really like the sound of it. I'm actually shocked how nice it is.
Swipe that plastic just to survive. From paycheck to paycheck we strive.
I'm cutting about 6 dB of gain reduction.
Swipe that plastic.
That's without.
To survive. From paycheck to paycheck we strive. In this modern struggle we thrive.
So, and next, notice all I'm doing now is just cutting, compressing and compressing and compressing. I didn't EQ yet. The EQ is coming now, because some people like to EQ first and then compress. I do that sometimes, depends on the recording. In this one, because I recorded and I know my microphone and how much should I cut and stuff, so I didn't do that. So I didn't cut anything before compression. Now, next one, I compress again.
Swipe that plastic just to survive. From paycheck to paycheck.
Because this is like a hip-hop style or R&B style, I want the voice to be really crunchy. And my purple, what is it called? It's called the purple audio. I don't know why they call it purple audio. This is 1176 compressor. For some reason, it's called here MC77 limiting amplifier. I don't know why they call it that, but anyway, it's an emulation of this machine, but it's based on the 1176. It's really, really fast and very crunchy. It has a very heavy sound in it, and whenever you want a really heavy sound, this is your thing.
Swipe that plastic.
Let me show you before.
Survive. From paycheck to paycheck we strive. In this modern struggle we thrive. Life's a maze, we're lost in grind.
So as you notice, it's giving me that crunchy sound on my voice, like some kind of distortion. And now I start EQing when the sound is perfect and compressed and contained exactly like I want it. I start removing stuff that I don't need from the mix and stuff.
Swipe that plastic just to survive. From paycheck to paycheck we strive. In this modern struggle.
Here in this area, I found which is the main frequency.
Swipe that plastic just to survive.
I cut a little bit because I felt it's a little bit boxy. I don't know why it was boxy, though I was a bit far from the microphone. I don't know if it's because of the proximity effect or not, but whatever. Like whatever you hear, you just fix it based on what you're hearing, especially if you have a very accurate system. So always do it based on an accurate system. Here in this area, about 400 hertz, usually this is the room, and basically my table, when I recorded, I was exactly in front of the table. So the table sound, you hear it about 400 hertz. Let's see how it sounds like.
Swipe that plastic just to survive. From paycheck to paycheck we strive. In this modern struggle we thrive. Life's a maze, we're lost in grind.
So notice when I remove that, let's see before and after. If I disable that, you see the difference.
Swipe that plastic just to survive. From paycheck to paycheck we strive.
It just cleans the vocal a little bit in this area. It's also boxiness because of the table, the screens, whatever is happening around me. I'm not recording in a studio. I'm just recording to show you an example. If you recorded in a home studio, how things will sound like. So next, I wanted to increase this area. Let me show you what I cut first, and then we talk about the stuff we boosted. Now, in this area where usually we boost, I didn't like it. My voices sounded bad. I didn't like it. So let me show you how it sounds like.
Just to survive, from paycheck to paycheck, we strive. In struggle, we thrive. Life's a maze, we're lost in grind. 80 BPM, slow beats unwind. Concrete jungle, neon signs, chasing dreams.
I just didn't like this in my voice. You know, this is just a taste. You can cut it or you can keep it, but I didn't like it in my voice, so I just removed this area, and I increased this area instead of the 5. I increased about the 3,300 just to give the presence of the vocals.
Swipe that plastic.
And I give it a little bit air right here. Though I don't have to do this because I did this in the console. I did it right before, so I wanted to show you that. So I don't need to do this. I'm going to do that in the final console, what is going to give me a nice color to the whole vocals. Now, this is one of my favorite console emulation, the AMIC 9099. What I love about it, it has everything you need, from gate to filter to a compressor to a limiter and an EQ, and then you have coloring and a million things. This is like a full thing. So I always use it in especially with processing vocals. This is my first thing to take out.
Swipe that plastic just to survive, from paycheck to...
So I'm compressing a little because already I compressed a lot, but I'm just compressing about 3 dB just to just hold up things. And
swipe that plastic just to survive.
With very fast attacks, so just in case any transient popped out, I'm trying just to hold them on very, very low compression. So basically...
Swipe that plastic just to survive. From paycheck to paycheck, we strive. In this modern struggle, we thrive. Life's a maze, we're lost in grind. 80 BPM, slow beats unwind. Concrete jungle.
So when you do that with the attack and release, make them both fast, the word, it gets pronounced better in a way or another. I don't know why these some compressors, they do that, some they don't, but this compressor does this. It's like the 1176, when you put the attack and release on the fastest, the words start giving you that clicks, like it gets pronounced nicer. I don't know how it works, but this is one of the tricks you do. And I'm using a soft knee instead of a hard knee here.
Swipe that plastic.
Now here at the peak, I increased at about 17.5 hertz. I gave some air to the vocals, and at 1 kilohertz, I wanted the vocal to pop up a little bit because I cut a lot of frequency from it while I'm cutting. And then at about 161 hertz, which is the dominant frequency of the vocals, fundamental frequency, I increased it about 3 just to give it some warmth to my vocals. So let's see how it sounds like now.
Swipe that plastic just to survive. From paycheck to paycheck, we strive. In this modern struggle, we thrive.
Now, the nice thing because my voice is a little bit thin for a rapper, I like a thick voice for a rapper. So I decided to create an effect channel, this one, and I call it Deep Voice. And on it, I put Little Alter Boy from Sound Toys, and I pitch my voice minus 12 dB and the formant about minus 5.7, and I give a lot of drive. And I send my vocal to this track through here. It's called Deep Voice. So let's see how it sounds like now.
Swipe that plastic just to survive. From paycheck to paycheck.
So after the Alter Boy, because now it's too prominent, I don't want it to show. I just want it to be a bed under my vocals. So I compress the crap out of it. So what I do, it's like parallel compression. You use the fastest attack and the medium release. What you want is the vocal to be totally compressed at all time and doesn't pump out again. So just keep it down as much as possible. It's like limiting, basically.
Swipe that plastic.
Notice that?
Just to survive. From paycheck to paycheck, we strive. In this modern struggle.
Without it?
Swipe that plastic just to survive. From paycheck.
Notice how it goes right below the vocals without pumping out with the words, you know? So all the words will be exactly the same. It's like, exactly like parallel compression. And then I added a doubler on it. But in this doubler, it's from Waves. I didn't use it to spread the voice right and left. I wanted to go right behind the vocals. So this is my vocals, and I want it to go right behind it. So notice I put 2 channels, and I put them on different time, but it's right behind, not right and left. Because, you know, it's a thick vocal. I want it to be, like I said, a bed to my vocal, and I don't want it to be spread. I don't want it to show. It's just I want to thicken my voice without anybody noticing that. That's the point of that. So
swipe that plastic just to survive.
Without it,
from paycheck to paycheck, we strive. In this modern struggle, we thrive.
So you feel it going back directly. And now the final touch, which is with the Pro Q3. Now, what I try to do is cut all the presence from this back vocal. So like I said, I want it like to be at the back of my voice, not in front. So all these frequencies that cause presence in the vocal, I just remove them back from highs, mid-range, and high-mid, like this area here. So you have to test it with your vocals. So you play your vocals and you keep on playing with them till it just goes right. It's like I said, it's like a bed for your vocals.
Swipe that plastic.
So now without this deep voice, this is how it sounds like.
Swipe that plastic just to survive. From paycheck to paycheck, we strive. In this modern struggle, we thrive. Life's a maze, we're lost in grind. 80 BPM, slow beats unwind, concrete jungle.
See, it gives a nice touch to your voice at the background, you know, especially in the low end. And after this, I need to add effects to my vocals, you know, like reverb to put it in a space and stuff like this. The first thing I do, I do a slab delay. I usually put it on a bus by itself. And what a slab delay does, it's because, you know, of the proximity effect, when you record on a microphone, you're very close to the microphone. It doesn't sound like you're in a room or in a space. So it sounds really weird for our ears when you hear all the music really far and that your voice is so close. So I wanted to just bring it back like 1 meter away, like you just feel it like you're listening to someone in a room and not right in front of your face like that. So this is how it sounds like without the slab delay and after.
Swipe that plastic just to survive. From paycheck to paycheck, we strive. In this modern struggle, we thrive. Life's a maze, we're lost in grind. 80 BPM, slow beats unwind, concrete jungle. Neon signs, chasing dreams, but the cost ain't kind. Life ain't easy, it's a bumpy ride. Swipe that plastic.
So notice how it just give it a space, like it's recorded in a room. If you want to hear it exactly, let me mute all this. So you can
swipe that plastic just to survive. From paycheck to paycheck, we strive. In this modern
So basically what a slab delay is, you don't put any feedback and you use only milliseconds. For those who don't know how this works, you put it on a bus, basically, in the delay, and you call it slab delay. Usually there are effects. You will find them, for instance, in Waves, a basic slab delay, for instance, this one. But usually they give you some feedback. I don't like any feedback in the slab delay. I just want it totally. You can start from 88. You increase the vocals, like, till you hear it so much.
Swipe that plastic just to survive. From paycheck to paycheck, we strive. In this modern struggle, we thrive. Life's a maze, we're lost in grind. 80 BPM, slow beats unwind, concrete jungle. Neon signs, chasing dreams.
Now you cut it down.
But the cost ain't kind. Life ain't easy. It's a bumpy ride. Swipe that plastic
Without
just
it?
to survive. From paycheck to paycheck, we strive. In this modern struggle, we thrive. Life's a maze. We're lost in grind. 80 BPM.
So notice it's giving the room space to the vocals. I like that. And then use another one, and this time it's just delay. So I want 1/8, a ping pong delay going right and left, jumping right and left. So
swipe that plastic just to survive. From paycheck to paycheck, we strive in this modern struggle.
let's see if I put it high. And don't forget, I usually set it on host. So the BPM will be on the host speed or tempo, which is 80 BPM here. And you cut as much as you can. I mean, till 600 hertz. You can cut till 600 hertz. And here you don't want also the highs. You want the delay to be right in the mid-range, you know.
Swipe that plastic just to survive. From paycheck to paycheck, we strive. In this modern struggle, we thrive. Life's a maze. We're lost in grind. 80 BPM,
Without
slow beats and wind. Concrete jungle, neon signs.
Everything I'm doing is in very little because I have more effects coming up. So I don't want to add all at once. I just want to give space and, you know, like let the vocals move a little bit. So next, what I do, I add a plate reverb. Also on another bus, I like Verb Suite from Slate. And on this one, this is how it sounds like now.
Swipe that plastic just to survive. From paycheck to paycheck, we strive. In this modern struggle, we thrive.
Yeah.
Swipe that plastic just to survive. From paycheck to paycheck, we strive.
Now, I know it sounds a lot, but in the mix doesn't sound that much. You don't hear it in the mix. Let me show you.
Swipe that plastic just to survive. From paycheck to paycheck, we strive. In this modern struggle, we thrive. Life's a maze. We're lost in grind. 80 BPM.
Okay. So after that, this is not it. There is more stuff. Now here, what I'm doing, these are the effects for this vocal. Every vocal or every song has a different based on the artist, what they like and stuff. But for this vocal, I wanted to keep it as little as possible. In the next vocal, there's a lot of effects coming up because that was the request of the artist. For me, I don't like much reverb and delay on anything. I like them. I just like space. That's it. It's just a style. Now, after this, so I want my vocal to be clear in the mix because here we have a piano, we have pads, we have vocal to the left and vocal effects to the right. So I send them all to a bus. And I put track spacer. What track spacer is, whenever the vocals sing, it just cut out these frequencies of the vocal that are prominent, and the other instruments are cutting them down. So it's just you make like some kind of sandwich between the vocals and the music. They work together. You'll see that.
Swipe.
So I sidechain this to the main vocal, okay?
Swipe that plastic just to survive. From paycheck to paycheck, we strive in this modern struggle.
And here also, I put it on mid side, not on the left and right. So what I want the vocal to separate whenever you're rapping, because you're rapping in mono, or the vocals goes in mono. So it goes between the music and just separate them a little bit and goes inside. But watch out from this move. I've seen a lot of people on YouTube doing that, cutting. See the mid, they cut it on maximum 100%. What you don't understand, when you do that, you're actually causing a lot of problems to the difference between the mid and side. I did a whole video about that. I'm going to post it down in the description. When the mid of the vocals is equal to the side of the vocal, you will have a problem when you set a mono that a lot of energy disappear. Now what you're doing here, if you set this on 100% and
swipe that plastic.
And this goes like about, see how much? About 20 dB is cutting from the vocal. So let's say you cut about 20 dB only mid. So now what you're doing is you're making the levels of the mid and the sides equal. So when you go to mono, the whole thing will be messed up. Half of the music will go down and you have to change all the levels of all music. So watch out from this. You use it in moderation, like 20%, 15%, depends. And always listen in mono when you do it, because your instrument totally will change when you do that.
Swipe that plastic.
So I'm gonna listen in
just
mono
to
now.
survive. From paycheck to paycheck, we strive. In this modern struggle, we thrive.
So I want to hear all my instruments when I do this. Let me shut off the kick and bass.
Swipe that plastic just to survive. From paycheck to paycheck, we strive. In this modern struggle, we thrive. Life's a maze.
Why I don't hear the piano? Where is the piano? Oh, I shut them off here. I was like, where is it?
Swipe that plastic just to survive. From paycheck to paycheck, we strive. In this modern struggle, we thrive. Life's a maze. We're lost in grind.
Yeah, everything is perfect. So I can cut a little bit more. Let's see that.
Swipe that plastic just
Let's see
to
if I did it
survive.
totally.
From paycheck to paycheck, we strive. In this modern struggle, we thrive.
See, the level of the piano went really down, because this is exactly what I'm telling you. Never do that. Never cut 100%, because you mess up the mid side between all the instrument that you cut some frequencies from. Or do the left right if you don't know what you're doing. Left right is okay, but I like to do it because it just gives space to the vocal right in the middle of the instrument. It just gives them a space, so the vocal will be right here and the instrument is just surrounded. But if you overdo it, all the instrument will have only sides instead of mid at all, and that will mess up the whole thing. So make sure not to do that. So always listen in mono, and while you're listening in mono, do how much setup you do.
Swipe that plastic just to survive. From paycheck to paycheck, we strive. In this modern struggle, we thrive. Life's a maze. We're lost in grind. 80 BPM, slow beats and wind.
Okay, now I can hear my piano perfectly, the notes of the piano. When I reach 30%, when I go above 30%, the transients of the piano are disappearing, because it has some mid-range, mid-side, and...
Swipe that plastic just to survive. From paycheck to paycheck,
So without
we
it?
strive. In this modern struggle, we thrive. Life's a maze. We're lost in grind. 80 BPM, slow beats and wind.
Nice. Okay, so now let's hear it all.
Swipe that plastic just to survive. From paycheck to paycheck, we strive.
Always listen to your kick, your bass, and the vocals alone, because those also part of the mixing of the vocals. There are some frequencies in the kick that contradict with the vocals, and in the bass with the vocals. So, for instance, let's listen to the kick alone and the vocals and see how they sound together.
Swipe that plastic just to survive. From paycheck to paycheck, we strive.
So I can hear a frequency of the kick. Now here I don't have a kick because I'm using a loop, but I hear a frequency around, let's see, around 163, where is the low end, the fundamental frequency of my vocal. So it's cutting part of my vocal. So listen.
Swipe that plastic just to survive. From paycheck to paycheck, we strive. In this modern
See how it's
struggle,
covered it?
we thrive. Life's a maze. We're lost in grind. 80 BPM, slow beats and wind.
Notice my vocal now is relaxed, because the low frequency of it, which is the fundamental frequency, about 160, 165 hertz, is not contradicting with the kick, right? So always look at the vocal, that it's a high, it takes a lot of spectrum, you know? So see where is your vocal and try to give it space in the mix. The same with the bass. Let's hear the bass. Now here I have a 808.
Swipe that plastic just to survive. From paycheck to paycheck, we strive. In this modern struggle, we thrive. Life's a maze.
Notice here I already cut a space for the vocal in the area 189, or let's say I like around this area.
Swipe that plastic just to survive.
You can cut as much as it needs.
Paycheck, we strive. In this modern struggle, we thrive. Life's a maze. We're lost in grind. 80 BPM, slow beats and wind. Concrete jungle, neon signs, chasing dreams, but the cost ain't kind.
So always listen to your vocal while you're listening to the bass as well. So together, So the kick and bass, so when you saying any word, the kick and bass won't be mudding your words and the spelling of the words. So now let's hear them together.
Swipe that plastic just to survive. From paycheck to paycheck we strive. In this modern struggle we thrive.
You see now, every word I'm saying is very clear, but still the kick and bass exactly the same level, nothing changing them.
Swipe that plastic just to survive. From paycheck to paycheck we strive.
Now, after that, I send the vocal into a bus. It's called the vocal bus, usually all the tracks, but here I'd have only one. And I like to add the Varimu compressor because always on my vocal bus. It's one of my favorite, and I don't use it into anything except the color. It brings the vocal to the front somehow. It has this frequency in it. It doesn't work on all vocals, but on rap it works very well, especially if it's a thick voice. So let's see when we put it on and off and see the difference.
Swipe that plastic just to survive. From paycheck to paycheck we strive. In this modern struggle we thrive. Life's a maze.
No, this is not working at all. It's just I'm using it as a color.
Swipe that plastic just to survive. From paycheck to paycheck we strive. In this modern struggle we
see how it goes back. It becomes more fuzzy without it, and it's just clear the vocals in a way. And after that, I use my favorite saturation box, black box from Analog Design.
Swipe that plastic just to survive. From paycheck to paycheck we strive. In this modern struggle we thrive. Life's a maze, we're lost in grind. 80 BPM, slow beats and wine. Concrete.
Here I'm using a nice preset. It's called Vox Instant Body. It gives a nice body. I mean, it's here, Vox Instant Body. But I don't use it a maximum. I like this preset. It always work on rapping vocals. So if you have vocals that you want body to it, like thickness and space, and to be like thick in the mix, use this preset. Whoever did it is a genius. I don't know what they're doing here. They're not doing much, basically. But it works. It's something to do with the saturation.
Swipe that plastic just to survive. From paycheck to paycheck
see without it?
Strive. In this modern struggle we thrive. Life's a maze. We love.
And always the last thing on every bus, melody bus or beat drum bus or whatever, we use a limiter. I like the Townhouse limiter. What we're trying to do is just not allow anything to go really high above the volume that you set. So you just to contain things up more in every mix. So if you notice, look at the gain reduction here is barely moving. I set it on 10 dB because it's supposed to be a limiter. Attack has to be really fast, the fastest you have, and the release is slow. It's just you want it to move whenever it needs to move.
Swipe that plastic
look at that.
Just to survive. From paycheck to paycheck we strive. In this modern struggle
without
we
it
thrive. Life's a maze, we're lost in grind. 80 BPM.
And I'm not increasing any volume. It's just I'm using also the color of the box itself. It has a very nice color, the Townhouse. It's a SSL compressor. So it has really, really nice color to the vocals. So it adds to it, you know what I'm saying? So
swipe that plastic just to survive. From paycheck to paycheck we strive. In this modern struggle we thrive. Life's a maze.
And now, after you do this, you just start setting the vocals to fit perfectly with the mix. But you need a very accurate system to hear how it is with the kick, with the snare, you know, the levels of the vocal, every word to be heard perfectly. Now, we're going to be jumping. This is how I usually work with this kind of vocals, which is rapping vocal. It changed from a person to another because it's very important to know that with every vocal, you can record it in a different room with a different microphone, wrong microphone, right microphone, professional engineer, no engineers at all, just some artists sitting in their room and recording with their own microphone. So you're going to be dealing with all kinds. If you're a sound engineer, you're going to be dealing with all this. So always think about how you're going to get it right, and you work with the artist and you see what they want, like what's the effect they're looking for, and you work based on that. And always you put your input as well. You know, your input is very important. So here's another song that it's for a friend of mine. It's a group called Lierda, and the rapper Adrian is a friend of mine. I thank him so much for allowing me to use his song to show you how I process vocal. This is a song that I mixed for them. They just released it recently. It's called Stay. And this is how it sounds like. I'll let you hear it a little bit. I'll be posting a link of this group, Lierda, right in the description down there. So
you just need somebody.
Let me play it from the beginning so you hear how it sounds like. And then we go ahead and see how we process it.
I'll be on my way. Loved you in this way. Let me,
Baby, I wanna make amends with you. Don't let me ease your heart. 'Cause we could stay pretend. To me this is the end. To me this is the end. You just need somebody. I just take advantage of your body. But I don't understand. We'll make it to the end. Baby, if you give me one more chance.
So the first thing I did on the vocal is totally different from the other song that I showed you before, which is my song. In that one, I start compressing and then I EQ'd. In this one, it's totally different. Like I said, in every vocal, you have to deal with what you have. And because, for instance, in this vocal, he has a very high pitched in his vocal. So you need to contain that before you compress. If you compress, you will have a lot of noise that you have to deal with later on. So you have to do it gradually and then start compressing. So what I did, I noticed that those three frequencies in his vocals are high. And I cut a little bit low from his vocal because of the proximity effect. I think he recorded through the microphone and was very, very close to the microphone. Sometimes it causes this, like a boxiness. So I removed till 183 hertz. So
to me, this is the end. To me, this.
Let me mute everything.
To me, this is the end. To me, this is the end. To me, this is the end. To me, this is the end.
So these frequencies, I felt like in some places when he says some words, it just hits high. So I cut these frequencies. You can usually pick each frequency and see how it sounds like alone.
To me, this is the end.
See, when you say and it's going really high. Now, I didn't cut it much because I'm going to do it gradually with other plugins as well. So I cut a little bit of this from this now, and then I go to another one. Let's hear this one. To me, this is the end. To me, this is... Here, the word me. To me, it was really sharp, so I had to lower it down. The same here. Let's see. This helped, like it's in the area around the sibilance. I just reduced the sibilance a little bit, though I put sibilance after this, but I also do it gradually. So not one compressor will do a lot. So all of them will work together and get you a nice sibilance instead of not sounding natural, like sometimes a word cut more than the other. So if you cut a little bit from this and a little bit from the other one, which is right after it, the sibilance, notice I put it on 7.1.
To me, this is the end. To me, this is the end. To me, this is the end.
It's going really high. Later on, when I compress, these S's will go really high. So I'm containing them right before I compress.
To me, this is the end.
So the third thing I do is, as usual, the max volume, downward compression and upward compression. So here is upward compression, the same thing.
To me, this is the end. To me, this is the end. To me, this is the end. To me, this is the end.
So upward compression, I increased about 6 dB, and
To me, this is
downward compression is about 3 dB. But I'm trying to keep the vocal level the same.
to me, this is the end. To me, this is the end.
So all what it does is adding a little bit from the low volume part of his voice, taking it up. Now, Soothe is coming up next. What Soothe does is cutting also some part of the honkiness in the vocals. Every vocal, when you record it, because of the microphone, because of the nasal in the vocals or whatever, you just cut some honkiness in the vocal.
To me, this is the end. To me, this is...
Usually I don't do much, but in this part, because this song doesn't have much elements in it. So if you have a lot of elements, you can hide stuff up with the mix. But the song was kind of vocal, guitar, a little bit of bass and pads. So I wanted the vocal to be prominent, but at the same time not pitchy and noisy. So that's why I added a lot of cuts in his vocal, because he has very high-pitched voice. Like when he's singing, he can crack the glasses. He has very strong voice. I love his voice.
To me, this is the end. To me, this is the end.
Let's see without.
To me, this is the end. To me, this is the end.
See, it's containing all these high pitches vocal. Now I start adding stuff or removing stuff. For instance, with a EQ, I'm using here the Focusrite. Usually what I try to do, I use different emulation on each vocal. And first I put the EQ on the vocal and I see how it sounds like. In this case, in this vocal, this one worked the most. I don't know why. Every vocal has a different... So I have like 6 or 7 emulations. So I tried different ones. And this was the nicest for me, especially the air in this area. It sounded really nice. And I didn't have to do much, actually. Just the moment I put it on the vocal, everything changed. Look at that.
To me, this is the end. To me, this is the end.
I didn't do much. I added some air, about 18 kilohertz. And I cut a little bit from the low with a shelf. I just felt there is still boxiness in the voice, so I cut a little bit. Here in this area, because his voice is sharp at 5 kilohertz, usually people increase, but because he has a lot of 5 kilohertz in his voice, so I don't need to do that. And plus he recorded through slate microphone, and he used the right, I think, emulation on his voice. So it was adding all this, so you don't need to do much with that. So I had to reduce a little bit, like 0.3 dB on the 5 kilohertz, just to get it softer a little bit. And I cut a little bit more on about 200 hertz. Also, I felt after you add emulation, sometimes the emulation itself add boxiness to the vocal if it doesn't fit, because not everything works, because the emulation goes throughout a whole spectrum of the vocals. Some places are nice, and some you have to clean them up. So this is what I did. And I'm using also another de-esser on his vocal.
To me, this is the end. To me, this is the end.
But because the other two de-essers were doing the job perfectly, so I just kept it in case any word over S's, like it was doing over. So I just kept it on.
To me, this is the end. To me, this
Didn't
is
work
the
much.
end.
And after that, I used the vocal rider. Now, a lot of people don't like vocal rider. I think they don't like it because they don't know how to use it. Vocal rider, how I use it is totally different than other. What I do, I shove the vocals totally inside the mix, like till you barely can hear it. And then I let the vocal rider works about 1.5 dB to 2 dB, moving up and down. So after you compress the vocal and become really contained, it's not going up and down, there's no dynamics anymore. I create a new dynamics through vocal rider, but with little touches, not like ups and downs. I don't do much. I just want the vocal to move with the mix. So let me show you what I mean.
To me, this is the end. To me, this is the end. You just need somebody. I just take advantage of your body. but I don't understand. We'll make it to the end.
Now, without it, listen how it would sound.
To me, this is the end. To me, this is the end.
Notice there is dynamic in the vocals now, moving up and down, but still, it's you can hear it with the mix. Let's hear it with the mix, how it sounds like.
To me, this is the end. To me, this is the end.
Let's hear it.
To me, this is the end. To me, this is the end.
See, it keeps it in front of the music instead of going back, because when you compress it, that's why I push it down. I reduce the vocal with the fader here, down, 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 till I can hear it almost below the level of the music. And then I'll let Vocal Rider do the rest, like going up and down with the vocal. I let it 1.5 dB, depends on the song also. And then I add another sibilance bass if it needs it. The sibilance is cutting also.
To me, this is the end. To me, this is the end.
Why I do this? Because don't forget, the vocals is going through the bus and then going through another pre-main bus, and then it goes to the master bus. So it gets compressed several times. So when you think it's okay, it's perfect now, the effects that you add to the song to make it sound like the rest of the songs affect the vocal. So you need to deal. So usually I don't put it now, I put it later on in the mix. So after I start mixing or I doing the final mastering, I start adding sometimes more stuff to the vocals because it needs it when I add saturation or the distortion to the mix to get it in a specific volume or something.
To me, this is the end.
So this is what I did. Now let's see how I did the vocals. Also, I send the vocal to the same like before in the other video. Sorry, in the other song. I send it to a bus, the vocals, and the first bus job is as also vocal bus limiter. So all what it does.
To me, this is the end. To me, this is the end. I wanna make amends with you. Don't let me ease your heart, 'cause we could stay pretend. To me, this is the end. To me, this is the end.
So now this is barely working. It's just work whenever a word goes above what it should be. So it's just protection, basically. So nothing will go to the limiter. And after that, I added another soothe because I felt like when I mastered the song and increased the volume a lot, I felt that there is a part in his vocal here that was, because of the high pitch in his vocal,
I wanna make amends with you. Don't let me ease your heart.
Like you wouldn't hear it now when you start adding effects and stuff, like things start adding up and other effects throughout the song. So these things I had to add an extra soothe only on this bus, just to make things, smooth in the mix. Now, let's see what I did with the effects on his vocal. The same, I start always with a slap delay, and this is how it sounds like. Let me shut off everything to hear the vocals alone, and then we hear it later on in the mix.
I wanna make amends with you. Don't let me ease your heart.
So notice I'm using 99 millisecond in this case, and all what you're getting is just the space in the vocal. Let's see how it sounds without it.
I wanna make amends with you. Don't let me ease your heart.
You feel it in the room now, as you see. And after that, the plate reverb. I'm adding reverb, which is a vocal plate. And
I wanna make amends with you.
Notice I'm cutting the lows and the highs of the reverb and the mid frequency. This, if you check the manual, if you cut this totally, it cut up to 600 hertz, and it cut it totally. Here it cuts about till 5 kilohertz. And this one, it's in the area in the 2.5 kilohertz. So when you shut off the mid, this is how much, which is the frequency that's really annoying in the reverb. So here, notice about this. This is all depends on the artist. When you start talking about reverb and delay, this is all how the artists like it. So sometimes from a person to another, these kind of things will change. So there is no one thing, but there is a way I do it, and there is like an artist would tell me, no, I like the reverb higher or lower or whatever. This is all up to the artist, but I give him first like a rough mix of how I like things, and then the artists start telling me like increase that, reduce that, I don't like this or whatever. So after that, because of this vocal, it's very dreamy, so I wanted to give it this special effect. So whenever he stopped singing the word, I wanted a big space of reverb after it, after every word. So this is what I did. I put a little plate on another, where is it? This one. It's called Big Reverb. So the first one was little plate. This has a very long, and I used the underground vocal preset. And I follow that by a compressor. Well, the compressor is sidechained to the main vocal. So the vocal is sending sound and sending sound also to the compressor. So what the vocal it does, it triggers the compressor. So whenever you sing, it compresses the vocal. So there will be no reverb. So the reverb sound won't come out. The moment you stop singing, poop, it comes out. It's called throw out reverb. So
I wanna make amends with you. Don't let me ease your heart.
And then you have to send another to the compressor. This now, first you send the sound to the reverb, to the little plate, and then you have to send to the compressor a signal telling it to trigger the vocals. So the second one, which is this one, so I went in the sidechain and I told them, go to the vocal, the main vocals, okay? So now,
I wanna make amends with you. Don't let me ease your heart. 'Cause
you see how whenever he stops singing, it comes, it's everywhere. It's here. And then I EQ that, like I felt.
I wanna make amends with you. Don't let me ease your heart. 'Cause
So you EQ the sound that comes out from the reverb and the compressor. Sometimes it just doesn't fit with the song, so you EQ it to sound nice with the rest of the things. So this is one. And then I felt like also whenever he sings, his voice, whenever he stops singing, there is a space between, because this is a low tempo song. Always in the low tempo, there are spaces between the vocals. So you want to add something to this. So either he adds by him singing some ad-libs or whatever, but if you don't have, you can add this trick, which is similar to the other trick where I add delay. So this is called a throw reverb. This is throw delay. Exactly the same idea. You add a delay. You set it on 1/2 because the timing will be perfect. So this is how it would sound like.
I wanna make amends with you. Don't let me ease your heart.
Notice now it's going on top of his vocal. So I don't want it to do that. I want it just whenever he stops singing, this delay to come out. So I do exactly the same thing. I put a compressor after it. I sidechain it to the vocal, and I send, oh, sorry, not this one. And I overdid it. Notice I put it on maximum here.
I wanna make amends with you. Don't let me eat.
And here you decide with release when your voice will come out. So you hear the music, and with the music, you start setting the release exactly.
I wanna make amends with you. Don't let me ease your heart. 'Cause we could stay pretend. To me this is the end.
You see how it comes out after him? So right after that, where is it? This one. After the delay, I always like to add a reverb. So I want the delayed sound to be reverbed also, to be soft and going at the back. So I added a Phoenix reverb here. So
I wanna make amends with you. Don't let
because you want them to be far, these effects, you want them to be deep and dark at the back. And always it also depends on the vocalist or the artist preference. Some they like it very high. For me, I like them really low and very dark. Sometimes the artist will tell you, no, I want it like that. But it's all taste here. It's just the technique. This is how you do it. And based on the artist or yourself, how you want it. Now here, notice I cut it. Like I could cut it really deep. This is how I like it. Like if it was for me, I would have done it like that. But that's just a taste. But the artist wanted it a little bit high to be almost close to his vocals. So it's like someone else singing with him. That's his
I wanna
preference.
make amends with you.
You can also add another effect if you think about it, like a little altar boy. This is usually, I do it a lot, and I reduce the formant and I put it right at the beginning. So the voice first will be pitched down and all these effects will follow. So the next vocal will be pitched down. So you sing, and whenever you stop singing, the other vocal will be pitched down. Listen how it sounds like.
I wanna make amends with you. Don't let me ease your heart. 'Cause we could stay pretend. To me this is the end.
You hear that a lot in a lot of songs, and you can set the volume for that to be really dark and deep, because don't forget, you compress, you added reverb, so all this keeps the vocal really at the back. So it's really, really nice technique, but the artist didn't want it. So he wanted his voice only to be delayed. And like I did before, the final thing is sending the vocals to the, where I put a track spacer on, usually on the melody.
I wanna make amends with you.
With the same idea.
Don't let me ease your heart. 'Cause we could stay pretend. To me
Now
this is
without
the
it.
end. To me this is the end.
Notice how the pads and the guitar take over his voice. But now when you add this and you set it up, always watch out from keeping the release really fast. Otherwise the music will be jumping. So when he sings, the music goes down and goes back really fast. You would hear that in the music. It's not nice at all. So always set the release high. Depends on the melody. Always listen to the music. Set them from 300 milliseconds or above. Or, I mean, it's up to you, but always watch out. This go down and up. You don't want the music to jump in the music, because you would hear it. And when you hear it, it doesn't sound nice. So you want it to reduce it very organic way.
I wanna make amends with you. Don't let me ease your heart. 'Cause we could stay pretend.
And watch out from track spacer. I don't know if anybody noticed. If you put the mouse right here and you cut, you see the first line here, that's cutting minus 20 dB, guys. Watch out from this thing. So when it moves a little bit, it's a lot of moves. So watch out from this thing. It's not like Sooth. You could use Sooth exactly in the same way, but Sooth you will see from 3 dB to 6 dB, you know, and you can set it up. But this thing works without you seeing how much you're cutting. So you might destroy your melody and the music. So this has to be used really, really with care, or you'll mess up your whole melody, or you won't hear music anymore.
I wanna make amends.
See, these one that I'm cutting now, it's about 7 dB. Listen to it.
I wanna make amends with you.
Or 10 dB in some places, which is already a lot, but it works with the music. I'm still hearing the songs perfectly. So always cut with care while you're watching the music. You don't want the music to go down totally, and his voice will be there and there will be no melody next to him.
I wanna make amends with you. Don't let me ease your heart. 'Cause we could stay pretend. To me this is the end.
Now, also before I start recording, because usually the singers send me harmonies and stuff. Now, it's very important to set up after you tune your vocals, tune them with like Melodyne or whatever you have there. I use Melodyne. I usually do that, for instance. So algorithm is melodic, okay. So Melodyne now. What I do, I set the timing of the vocals. So not only you tune the vocals, but the grid timing with the beat, it has to be set. And you can do that simply by pressing on Alt, going on any one, and move it with the time. See here, you can set different time and work with that. So the vocalist will be exactly on time. Depends on what did you set on which time. I mean, you keep the human thing, and you don't want to put it exactly on time. But sometimes, like the vocalists, when they go out of time, you can just push them right and left. You do this right before you start doing any mixing. This is on the first day when you start cleaning things up, you tune things up, and you tune the grid. It's very important to tune the grid of the vocals. And after that, you start processing maybe the second day, but this is very important. Also, if you have like harmonies and you need to set them in time, either you do it manually. In my case, I have a vocal line, so I picked both two, for instance, these one, and I send them to vocal line. Edit with vocal line. Now, what vocal line does is align them with each other. I already did that, but I'll show you how I do it in Studio One. So you go to the first one and you press capture. This will be the lead. Usually I tune the first one and I don't tune the others, and I let vocal line deal with them. So let's say you have 2 or 3 tracks right after this, you highlight them and you go capture. Now notice vocal line is working, and he just used these one and he fixed them exactly. Now flexibility, you can high flexibility, maximum compression, it's up to you. It's like you can set it up.
10, to me this is the end, to me this.
Notice it set the vocal exactly on time, so all of them. And then I press Control and B, which usually like export the vocals in track where it is. So this effect will go away. So I won't be using vocal line on it. It's just gone, you know. So see, notice here, vocal line is still on. So I don't want vocal line because first of all, it takes a lot of CPU if you put on every track you add. Because I do all this in the first day and I export the whole vocals, and then I deal only with a clean vocal that is fixed, clean, tuned, and grid tuned, and vocal lined, and everything. So all I'm dealing with is just faders and EQ and compression. I don't want to do that in the while I'm mixing, because it's a lot of thinking about other things, you know, like you have to be musical. So the technical thing, I call it the day of the technical day or the mechanic day. This is mechanic cleaning. It's the first day. The second day is art. Call it art. Anyway, this is how I usually work with vocal. I hope this in any way helped you guys. If you like this video, I hope you can support me by subscribing and liking the video, maybe sharing it, or drop a comment if you have any question. And if any of you have a vocal that you would like me to mix or post how I mix them here on YouTube, or even a song, I would love if anybody is interested. Send me your song and I can mix it and even master it live here on the channel. Because I'm afraid so much from copyrights, especially on YouTube. If you do, even sometimes I try to mix my own song because I post it on YouTube, they hit me with the copyrights, and it's my own song. So that's why. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me on this video, and hope to catch you on another one. Bye for now.